mat, we'll drop our chin to our chest. You can bring your fingers to the back of your head and just allow your elbows to move toward the center. Opening out your elbows to the sides of the wall. Hey, Yancy. And then again, dropping your chin to your chest, allowing your elbows to meet in the center. And then again, bringing your elbows out to the side. Nice. And then just go ahead and release. And we're just going to move through some neck circles just to start to warm up our body, relax our body. You can move all the way around if you'd like to. Yeah. Stopping where you'd like. If you find some tension somewhere, you can spend a little extra time there. You know, if that doesn't really speak to you, you can always just kind of sit here and relax into the floor. Taking a few rounds of breath. And come back to center. We're going to inhale our left fingertips toward the ceiling. And then as we exhale, coming into a twist on the right side. Come back through the center. This time we'll take our right hand toward the ceiling and then open up to the opposite side. Nice. And then again, coming back to center. Then we're just going to come into our tabletop position. Go ahead and spread your fingers wide. You can keep your gaze straight ahead. And then just start to move through some cat and cows. Chin goes toward the ceiling, pelvis goes toward the ceiling, and then rounding everything forward. Nice. And add in the C curves that I normally offer up to you. Yeah. And again, you know, a lot of these movements are just to get you into your body. Notice what's feeling good, notice what needs some work. Sometimes it's not like physical sensation, sometimes it's, you know, mental stuff that's going on. This week's been really super weird for me. You know, I feel like all of the feelings in the same day, sometimes within like the same hour, and it's a lot to digest. So just being able to come into your body, focus on your breath, really grounding into the floor, the mat, whatever you're using. And just letting all that stuff go for a little bit. So then we're going to start to put your weight on your right side. We're going to take our left fingertips toward the ceiling. They're going to stay at the fingertips are going to stay at the ceiling, and you're just going to pulse, opening up your shoulder. It's okay if you're here, if you've got, you know, sort of tight shoulders. Just go to your limit and then just find some pulses. Just a few more here. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and bring that hand to your low back where your hips are, and then just placing your palm up toward the ceiling, you're just going to wiggle your fingers. And then we're going to start to open our chest toward the ceiling. That elbow is going to go up toward the ceiling as well. And pause here, taking a breath. Remember not to hold, or try not to hold your breath in these poses. Come back to the center, take your fingertips back to the ceiling, then we're going to thread the needle through to the other side, coming into a shoulder stretch. If you need a little bit more here, you can take your opposite leg, so right leg in my case, extending it out, just really getting an entire body stretch here. And then just breathe. Notice any sensations that come up for you. Go ahead and pull that leg back into place. And then you can unwind, bringing those fingertips back to the ceiling, and then back down to your mat. Again, maybe you want to find a cat and cow here just to release. Maybe you, again, add in that little C curve motion. And then we'll move on to the other side. So engaging your core, putting start to put your weight on your left side, or trying to keep it as neutral as possible. Bringing your right fingertips toward the ceiling, finding your range of motion, and then just pulsing. Again, your core stays engaged here. You can have your feet flat or your toes tucked. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that hand to the lower back again, and then just start to wiggle your fingers, palms facing up. And breathe. Notice if you're holding any tension in your face, in your jaw, and see if you can just let that go. Just for a little bit. And then we're just going to start to open up our chest towards that right side, elbow going towards the ceiling. Pausing here. Taking a few rounds of breath. Coming back through that neutral, bringing your right fingertips up toward the ceiling, and then threading the needle all the way through. This time, if you'd like to, you can extend your left foot out. Again, these are just options. Some days, you feel like it, some days you don't. I get it. Some days you want to try some new things, sometimes you don't. Bringing that foot back into alignment, unwinding, right fingertips go toward the ceiling, and then coming back to your mat. Again, moving through a cat and cow here. Coming back into that neutral spine. Engaging your core, we're going to extend that right leg out, and you're just going to find some pulses, bringing that heel towards the ceiling. Then you're going to bend your knee, you're going to bring your knee in towards your chest, bring your right elbow in, and then extend it back out. Again, elbow to knee, your knee to elbow, and then extend. If your balance is off like mine is today, that's okay. You just gotta go be wherever you're at. Then bring that knee back into your chest, engaging your core, and see if you can't grab for your right ankle. And you're just gonna bring, again, if you're having some balance issues like I am today, that's okay. We're just playing with the shape. It's okay to fall out, but you just gotta come back into it. It's part of doing this practice. It's not perfect. And then slowly release that leg back down to the ground. We have another side that we get to practice with. So extending that left leg out, go ahead and reach the heel. We're going to find some pulses here. Again, engaging through your core. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bringing your knee into your chest and back out. You can bring that elbow in if you'd like, and back out. Again, sometimes you have balance on one side and not the other. I think that's how life is. Sometimes things feel pretty balanced when you're doing one thing and not the other. So pull that knee into your chest, this time grabbing for your ankle on this side. It's kind of weird how that happens, but it's the way it goes. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release that. Coming back through your tabletop, taking your knees wide, sitting back, coming into your child's pose. Once you're in your child's pose, go ahead and bring your hands above your head for a shoulder stretch. You can also just place them on the back of your neck here if you'd like to do that. And then just really release into the mat, allowing your body to be heavy here. Trying to release any tension that you can, that you feel in your body. Continuing to breathe. releasing your hands, coming back through your tabletop position, and then we're going to come into downward facing dog. So finding your downward facing dog, you can move through your heels, walking your dog a few times. Pay attention to what your shoulders are doing. You notice this is putting tension on your wrist. You can fan your hands out to the side. Again, check in if you're starting to hold tension in your face and your jaw. Yeah. And then we're just going to bend our knees, allowing our knees to hover over the mat. And then push back to downward facing dog. We'll do that a few more times. So again, bending your knees, allowing them to hover just above your mat or the floor. And then pushing back into downward facing dog. And one last time. Awesome. And pushing back into your downward facing dog. Starting to put your weight on your left side, bringing your right leg toward the ceiling, and then go ahead and bring that knee in towards your chest as you step it all the way up to the outside of your hands. You can drop your left knee to the ground, pausing here, taking a breath, and then we're going to walk our hands over to the left. So toes can stay tucked, or you can flatten out your foot. Just notice how this changes the shape. If you notice that your right leg, you can't see mine right now, but if it's starting to collapse toward the center, you want to keep everything in alignment. So your ankle, your knee, your hip, and just breathe into all the spaces here. Notice any sensations that come up for you, and like we've been talking about, you get to decide how you perceive the sensation. Walking your hands back into alignment here. We're going to come up to a kneeling position. You can just bring your hands to your hips and breathe. Hands can come down to the mat, or maybe they just hover as you come into your runner's lunge. So you may just be able to straighten your leg. You may have to adjust your heel by shimmying it forward a little bit. Maybe your fingers touch, maybe they don't. Maybe you're up here, and that's okay. And just breathe here. Coming back into your low lunge. Hands go on the outside, or one hand on the outside of your foot, your right hand. Pull that knee into your chest, step back to your high plank. Pausing here for a moment. Rock to your toes and through your heels a few times. Yeah. And then push back into that downward facing dog. This time bring your feet closer together as you're pushing your hips toward the ceiling. Come up to your toes. Notice how that changes the stretch here. Exhaling, releasing your heels back down to the ground. Again, coming up to your toes. Releasing it back down to the ground. And one more time. And release. Coming back into a neutral stance. This time, inhaling your left leg to the sky. Bring it through to your chest. Stepping it up to the outside of both of your hands. Again, you can drop that knee. Pausing here for just a moment. You can see what I'm talking about on this side. And then you're going to walk your hands over to the right. So if you notice that your knee starts to come with you, pull that knee back into alignment with your ankle, and you're just moving your upper body. So maybe you don't take it quite as far if you notice that that knee starts to dip. And breathe. Walking your hands over to the center, back to the center, coming up to that kneeling position again. Taking a breath here, and then coming into your runner's lunge on this side. Again, however you need to get there. Just remembering to focus on your breath When we stop resisting and just kind of move with our breath is when we see a lot more, like we're not having to put as much effort in, right? You're not having to use energy in so many places. Coming back into your low lunge, left hand on the outside of that left foot. Tuck your right toes, step back to your high plank. And then into your downward facing dog. Staying here for a breath or so. We're going to shift forward. You're going to come down to your knees. Even if you can do like regular push-ups, we're all coming to our knees. You're going to bring your legs close together, point your toes to the ceiling. Elbows can go wide, and we're going to come down for a few push-ups. So pushing down, come as far down to the ground as you can, keeping your line of sight in front of you. For 2, 3, engaging your core, pulling your belly button to your spine. 4, keeping your toes pointed. And 5. Nice, tucking your toes, coming back into your downward facing dog. Inhaling your right leg to the sky again, bringing it into your chest, stepping on the outside of that right hand. And this time, if you'd like, you can bring that knee down to the ground, or you can keep it elevated here. And maybe you rock to your toes and through your heel a few times. Same thing, we're going to walk our hands over to the left side. Pay attention to what's going on with your right leg. If you notice that it's starting to cave in toward the center, see if you can't modify that. Or, you can come back down, coming back down to your knee here. Walking your hands back in line. Pausing for a moment, bring that right hand on the outside. So you can drop your knee here, coming into the runner's lunge. Or if you want to, you can keep your back leg straight, straighten your front leg, and then point your toes to the ceiling. Coming into a standing runner's lunge. You can also come to your toes, pulling your belly button into your spine, starting to create a hollowness in your abdomen, and eventually you can lift your front heel off the ground. It takes a little bit of mechanics to do, but you can do it. Yeah. And you can just play with the sensation here. Wherever you're at, just taking a few rounds of breath. If you're in the standing variation, dropping your foot to the floor. If you are in the with your knee lowered, coming back into your low lunge, tucking your toes. And then we're going to take your left foot, step your left foot up to meet your right, finding a forward fold. So just releasing through your neck, shaking your head yes and no. You can keep a bend in your knees as always. Just releasing everything, trying to let go of any tension in your shoulders, in your face, in your jaw. You can find another bind that you like if this one isn't working for you today. And then just breathe. Releasing your hands down to the mat. You're going to take your right foot, step it back. Coming into that lunge. Left hand comes on the inside of your foot. Again, you can stay toes tucked, knees lifted, or you can drop that knee to the ground. If you have your knee lifted, give yourself just a moment to acclimate, and then we're going to take those hands over to the right side. Again, paying attention and making sure that your left knee isn't starting to move in toward the center. And breathe here. Bring your hands back through the center. You can drop your knee coming into your traditional runner's lunge, or you can straighten that front leg, pointing your left toes to the ceiling. Maybe you come onto your heel here, and give yourself just a few moments if you are playing with this, hollowing out your belly space. I don't know if I can do it on the side. Coming up to your toes, really pulling your belly button to your spine, and maybe you lift that heel off the ground. Doesn't even have to be very much like mine. I don't lift it very far or for very long. But just playing with shapes, challenging yourself a bit, because it's not only like physically challenging, it's also, you know, cognitively. You're asking your body to do things that maybe you haven't asked it to do before. So either coming back into your low lunge, tucking your toes, or just from your standing variation, putting your weight to that left foot, stepping your right foot up to meet your left. Again, finding a forward fold here. This time you might want to interlace your fingers, coming into a shoulder opener here. Again, paying attention to where you're holding tension, and if you can let any of that go. And then just release. So I'm going to come to the middle of the mat. We're going to come into that squat malasana. Today, you can play with like coming onto your toes. A lot of times if we're doing traditional malasana, we're, you know, we have our heels down. But give yourself some space today. If you want to come onto your toes, you can take some movement here. Maybe you bring your feet super close together and see what that feels like. Stretching through your toes. I don't know if I have the balance to do this today, but play around with it. You can play around with bringing your hands off the ground. Oh, I can't believe it. And then, yeah, so you can stay here, or you can bring your feet back out to the traditional malasana, sending your bum towards the floor, and then starting to open up your chest toward the ceiling. And if you're not able to get this low, that's okay, don't worry about it. You can stay here with your fingers either planted or even bringing your hands to your hips. Just give your body, you know, some time to acclimate and make adjustments as needed. So if you're in whichever position you're in, bringing that right hand down to the floor, bring your left fingertips to the ceiling. And we did this last week, I think. You can drop your hand behind you, touching your thigh, or if you want to, you can also take your right hand and play with like a little bit of a bind. Shoulders are tight, man, and if this isn't in your practice, that's okay. Go with what is. Just another breath here. Go ahead and release that bind. Focus on the left side this time. Elbow goes into that knee. Right hand goes up. Maybe you drop it behind. Maybe you tuck it into the thigh. Maybe you reach around for a bind here. Every day is different. Although the days lately have definitely felt like trapped in Groundhog Day. Taking another round of breath. Bringing your hands down, dropping one knee and then the other. This time, instead of taking your knees wide for child's pose, you can keep your feet together, or your legs together, bringing your hands behind you and releasing to the ground. And everyone's body is different, so every shape is going to look different, and that's okay. It'd be boring if everything looked the same. Coming back into your tabletop, tucking your toes for just a moment, sitting back on your heels. You don't even have to come into a kneeling position today. We'll just stay right here for a moment. Yeah, crossing your ankles, coming into a seat, extending your legs out straight, giving them a little bit of a shake. You can roll through your ankles after holding that low squat or malasana. Fingers go toward the ceiling, and then we're going to come into a forward fold. Again, always have a great, nice bend in your knee. You can always take your hands here. It doesn't really matter how far you're going, as long as you're feeling the pose. That's the most important thing. If you are working towards, going a lot deeper, then as I said a few times, you want to work on getting your chest to your thighs versus like your head to your knees. And then slowly walk your hands back up. Gonna take our right foot, bring it into the inside of our leg here. We're gonna start with bringing our hands on the inside of that left foot, keeping your toes activated. Let's see. Walking your hands in front of your leg. And then again, we're going to move over, this time to the outside of our leg. And then slowly coming back up to center, extending that right leg out, bringing your left leg in, keeping your toes active. Hands are going to come on the inside of the right foot this time. I'll pet her everywhere. It's my life. Coming back, or coming to folding over your right leg here. And then to the outside of your right foot. And then coming back up. And I thought we'd end with, now some of you are going to be like, I don't know what you're doing. I think this is fun. So for those of you that want a little bit of a challenge, if not, that's okay. You don't have to do it. But extending your left leg out, we're going to start on this side. You're going to cross your right leg over. This is, you're going to bend onto this side. So what we're doing is we're going to come into a little bit of a, it's an arm balance per se. But as you're balancing, just like you're doing, like, push-up arms or tricep arms, you're going to take your right hand and reach for your foot. Now, even if you just come here, let's say you can't reach your foot, that's okay. You can reach for your ankle maybe, or you can just keep your right hand grounded in front and then just lean over. You don't have to do the entire pose. But if you are a little bendy and you want to play, grab your foot and then you're going to lean forward. You might have to play with your hand placement and then lift everything off the floor. Baby grasshopper. And then lower everything back down. And then we'll do the other side. Do it this way. This time, right leg, left leg, crosses over, bend the arm, left arm comes in front of my left leg, and I reach for the foot. If I'm just staying here, then that's awesome. You're just gonna bend forward. You're still getting the same movement, still getting the same feeling. If you can reach your foot, reach for your foot, find that bend in your arm, and go ahead and lift off the ground. And then release. Awesome. Just something to break it up, something to try, right? We all gotta challenge ourselves, try new things. We don't have to, but that's where the growth happens. And with that, I hope you guys have an awesome Thursday. Hope you enjoyed the practice, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Thanks, John, Anya, Yancy. Always great to have you guys.